Hello, it's Dean Jaggard of the Spirit of Speed here. We're going to have an interview this morning with Chris Ball. I've known Chris probably the best part of 30 odd years. He's been in the Rolls-Royce and Bentley world for the best part of 50 years. We're going to hear some stories about the time he's at Hydro in London, which was a Rolls-Royce service centre. So it should be quite interesting interview about his time, his stories about when he was there, when he was an apprentice, and just general information about the place. So I hope you enjoy the interview. Chris, could you tell us more about the technical department at Hydro?
Yes, they had, as you say, a technical department which was there purely to keep an eye on the latest car, which was the SY series.
Yep.
So any recurrent problems that came about, they would look into it and produce a mod.
Right, okay.
Which, depending on how severe it was, a lot of mods were only done when the car came in for service.
Right, okay.
But if there was a recall, then that would be sorted out as well. But so they would actually. It was quite an interesting area. I wouldn't mind going into that department,
right.
But I had left before then. But that was very good because they actually went into depth about all these mods. One in question, which was quite a big thing at the time, was that on that particular series of car, the final drive differentials were quite noisy, like
right, okay.
humming going on, overruns and things.
Okay.
So there's countless cars coming in for diff changes.
Right.
And they devoted a section purely to do that.
Right.
And I remember we were allowed, I think, about 2 hours to change a diff.
Really? Crikey, that's not a long time, is it?
No, but when under those conditions, you had to drop the exhaust down and things like that. But you're only allowed 2 hours to do it.
Right.
But we had it down to a fine art.
Oh, okay.
So you could actually get your day's time in quite quickly.
Right.
And we never used to take the exhaust down. We used to have it at an angle and feed it over the top. And because you did so many, you were doing them that quickly.
Right.
But in the end, then the car had a different diff in, it would go on the road.
Right.
And quite often it was as noisy.
Right.
So they found out eventually by all this trial and error that one diff would be noisy in one car and quiet in another car.
Right.
So it was just pot luck. We kept changing. We put this one in now. No, that's no good. Try this one.
Yeah.
And then the tester would say, "Yeah, that's okay. That's acceptable. We'll let that one go." So it was just a trial and error. We just had all these diffs all over the workshop floor.
Was that the early days of Silver Shadow? Or was that a little bit? That was early days.
Yeah, and there was lots of more. There was one that was quite desperate actually, because we had a situation where on the final drive, on the actual drive shafts, they had check straps.
Oh yes, yes, yep.
And whether or not they were inferior at that stage, I don't know what happened. We had a car come in, a Shadow came in, and it had no rear suspension, no rear wheels, no nothing. It was just gone.
Lost the lot.
The rear lot had gone because the check straps had gone and wrenched the whole lot.
Crikey, what a situation that was.
Yeah, the whole lot was missing.
I suppose because if they saw something like that, they'd get worried because what's wrong with the design somewhat?
What could it be something which we're going to have? You know, carrying on. So things like that would come in there, and apparently we used to have an area where they could put a car inside a plastic bag,
right,
an airfield bag,
right, okay.
And one came in, and apparently it was the first Rolls-Royce that people had actually been killed in, because up to then nobody had ever been killed in Rolls-Royce.
Okay.
That's what they said.
Right.
But this one came in,
right,
all bagged up.
Blimey.
And that was allegedly, some people have been killed in this one, the first reported incident like that. Whether that's true or not, that's what we were told.
So it had to be looked into why?
Yeah,
why
it was stored there for investigation.
Right.
I don't know if that was done there or it went elsewhere. I don't know.
Okay.
But anything that happened around the world that needed looking into came there. That was the main.
So you was the main hub then?
Oh yeah, it was the Rolls-Royce motors. It was the servicing maintenance side of the company.
Right. Okay.
As I said, they built the car crew.
Yeah.
Main service. Then you had all these agents going out from there, particularly in the London area, but obviously around the world. And a lot of the guys were trained at Hyde Road and moved out to the agencies.
Right, okay.
And apparently they just go to the agency that was paying the most money at the time.
Right. Well, it made sense, didn't it?
So that's how it was, really.
So, Chris, could you tell us about what cars come to Hyde Road, or famous people's cars, or dignitaries, people like?
Well, there was just numerous people, celebrities or whatever, used to come there. Obviously owning Rolls-Royce, the Bentley cars,
Yes.
just so many. Having said that, a lot of them had their chauffeurs and their drivers, so they'd be delivered there. But occasionally we would see celebrities coming in.
Right.
Some nice, some not so nice. But just while you mention that, I would say that in the 60s, when the Beatles had a Rolls-Royce Phantom.
Yeah.
And as you know, it was all painted, all these psychedelic colours.
Yes.
Well, that was not allowed in to the Rolls-Royce.
Right. Okay.
At Hyde Road.
The management said that wasn't coming on the premises.
Because that was not the done thing.
Right. Okay.
In those days.
Okay.
You couldn't. It just would not allow it.
Right. Okay.
Sounds strange now, but you see, you could spot a Rolls-Royce owner a mile away.
Right.
You could spot them.
Right.
And then things started to change.
Yeah.
There were. I mean, I think Jimmy Savile. He had a pink R-Type fastback.
Did he really? Pink one.
Yeah, pink. Because it matched his hair. But yeah, they didn't welcome things like that. They normally went to an agent somewhere.
Right. They
not
weren't
through their gate.
No. And royalty-wise, is there any royalty?
Oh yeah, I did. I had spoken to you before. That was my claim to fame. When I was in what we called the outside section, I was based in this country. The more experience you had, you would go abroad.
So this was the failure to proceed section,
which we never mentioned. And in particular, when our Queen would journey abroad or wherever, she had two identical cars, and one would take her, one would be at the other end waiting for her. They always used two cars.
Right.
But anyway, on one occasion she went to the Braemar Games in Scotland.
Right. And
the car failed to proceed.
Which car was this?
Phantom.
Right.
The black and red Phantom 5.
Yeah.
And I went with this other guy. Two of us went on the train from Euston Station up to Glasgow. Then we were taken to Stirling,
right,
where this very nervous garage owner had the Queen's car in there.
Right, okay.
And we sorted out the problem, what it was. We worked on it non-stop until it was done. Quite a big job we had to do.
What was the problem with the car?
I don't know if I can mention that.
Of course you can. Go on, tell us what's wrong with it.
Well, we had, what it was, to be absolutely honest, it was a dropped valve guide in one of the cylinders.
Okay.
And it had actually damaged the piston.
Ah, okay.
Not enough to change the piston. We cleaned things up, the top of it.
Yeah.
And we fitted a replacement head because the head was damaged.
Okay.
So that was done.
So you had to take the head up with you, basically?
No, that was sent up.
That was sent separately?
Special delivery.
Right, okay.
And that was there so quick. No, she took, obviously, straight away it was done. But the guys that actually went with the Queen on tour around the world, they used to get presented with these cufflinks, gold cufflinks with ER on them.
Right.
And we used to take them mixed around on Eastern Railways. We used to annoy them.
Oh, I like that. That's brilliant.
But I never got the cufflinks.
No.
But that was quite an experience.
Because you were saying that your mum had a...
Yes.
It was in the papers, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It was in national papers. I think he said like the Rolls-Royce, two of the Rolls-Royce's best mechanics were sent up to the,
Oh, that's brilliant.
something like that, and of course she kept that for me. I didn't know she kept it until years and years afterwards, and then she showed me.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But that was my highlight, I suppose. But I was basically on breakdown, did I say?
Yeah.
In the London area.
Right.
But if the car had to be recovered, it was always covered up. You never saw a Rolls-Royce exposed on the back of a recovery vehicle. No.
So was it a covered lorry then that it come back on?
Yeah, if it had to be recovered in.
Right, okay. And is there any other breakdowns you remember you went on? Any interesting ones?
Yeah, lots. Yeah, lots. Yes, some customers were very, very understanding.
Right.
Some were totally ignorant.
Okay. So it was just lucky dip then.
It was, yeah. Some believe it or not, had no idea how to even drive their own cars.
Right, okay. So you had to educate them sometimes.
Yes, they wouldn't start because they hadn't done this, hadn't done that.
Right, okay.
You would go there and it would start immediately.
Right, okay.
Lots of things. Like you changed the water pump outside the Savoy.
Did you?
Wouldn't let me move it.
What car was that?
I did it as S-Type, I think. There's lots of peculiar situations. Some were very nice about it, others weren't, as I said.
Right, yeah.
But a lot of it, I went out to a coach-built car and he had a puncture and he couldn't get the spare wheel out. He didn't know how to do it.
Right.
And he was insinuating that the car had been in accident damage and that's why the wheel wouldn't come out.
Right.
Saying all these silly things, and all you want to do is tell them how it is, really.
Yeah.
But you have to mind what you say.
Diplomatic, Chris.
Yes. And just incidentally, when you went out from there, you represented Rolls-Royce, and the rule was if you had any abuse from the owner,
Right.
you would leave straight away.
You didn't have to.
No,
You
you
didn't
wouldn't
get involved.
go in conversation with them.
Right.
You would say, "I'm now leaving." That was the rules.
Right, okay.
Probably a union rule.
Yeah.
But then you would leave
Right.
because you're there to help them.
Yeah.
See. But not that I ever got as far as that. But most were nice, some weren't. Obviously, it was very inconvenient and embarrassing for them.
Right, okay.
And a lot of the, not a lot, some of the breakdowns were, say, they were going to the airport in their S-Type, say, that seemed to be the one, and they would jam the boot down on their luggage and they couldn't get the boot open. And the official way was that we used to have this cut down rear road spring.
Right, okay.
The rear springs are quite about a yard long, aren't they? But we had one that was cut in half in the kit. And used to jam it under the boot lid, underneath the bump, over top of the bump and under the boot lid. Leave it up.
And that was the way to open it.
That was the only way.
I never heard that one before.
And just incidentally, which you're pushing me now, so I'm going to say that I had to go out. This guy phoned up. This wasn't at Rolls-Royce actually. This was in later days, but I just thought of it.
Go on then, put it in there.
And he phoned up and said he got locked out of his car and he needed it. The key was in the car, but he'd locked himself. He couldn't get in it for some reason.
Right.
He said, "I think there's a spare one in there, but I can't get it."
Yeah.
So I went there, and as you know, we know how to get into these cars.
Yes.
So I opened the door, got in, and he said, "Oh, thanks very much." And he found the spare key and drove off. And the next thing, it was in the papers that this guy had stolen his Rolls-Royce.
And you'd assisted him.
I helped him.
Oh, I love That's quality.
But apparently it was his. He had gone broke. He owned the property and the car and all that.
Right.
But he'd gone broke, so arguably it wasn't his anymore.
In essence, it was, but now the
Yeah.
bank's owned it.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
But I'd help him. I'd actually help.
You'd assisted in theft.
Yeah, I suppose so. But with the best will.
In the best way possible. Oh, well, that's
But he was
brilliant.
a nice guy.
Well, why not help him out, eh? Why not help him out? So, Chris, could you tell us a few more stories about the workshop, please? Just for the viewers, please.
What funny situations?
Stories, yeah.
Well, there was lots of funny situations, but could have had serious consequences. But at the time, when as an apprentice, I was working in the what we call a unit section, where we overhauled gearboxes, hydraulic units, steering boxes, axles, all that sort of thing. And you weren't allowed to actually carry anything because you had to use the gantries and the pulleys. You couldn't actually lift anything.
So it was sort of health and safety
Yes.
sort of thing.
No, yes, it was. Anyway, we had a guy that used to overhaul gearbox. He was apparently a Polish guy, and he was massive, really big guy. He looked like he had basketballs down his shirt sleeves, just bulging muscles. And apparently he used to train the German soldiers in unarmed combat during the war. So we never really had much to do with him. We just kept out of his way. But we noticed as apprentices that he used to carry these gearboxes about.
So these
automatic gearboxes.
So these are the 4-speed Rolls-Royce boxes.
Really heavy.
Right.
He used to carry them about. So we thought, right. So we assembled a box, just a casing with no internals.
Right.
And we put a drive flange on one end and the output shaft the other. So there was actually no weight in it. And then we'd be walking about the workshop carrying these things quite easily.
Oh, I like that.
And making it known, attracting his attentions. And he looked across and he could not, you could see he was completely bewildered, he couldn't make it out. But he was very, he never really spoke to it. He would never come over and ask.
No.
So we had loads of laughs with that.
Oh, that's
to his
brilliant.
expense. But another time we had, in those days when you worked on the SY series, you had to take out this little inhibitor switch which stopped the car selecting the gear.
Right.
And we were all in the workshop one day, just an uproar and loads of noise. But what happened, this particular guy was laying in the car working on, he had his feet up round the windscreen somewhere and he was messing about, and he kicked the gear lever into gear.
Oh dear.
By accident. And the car launched itself off the stands, which you always jacked cars up in those days, launched itself off the stands. It had no rear wheels on it, and it just slid all up the workshop at a severe rate of knots.
Dear.
Probably on fast idle.
Yeah.
And rammed into a wall.
But it didn't do any damage to any other cars, lucky enough.
No, it damaged the car.
Oh right, okay, he was lucky there
Quite
then.
a lot. Just one other thing, which is just to put it in perspective, is that so in those days if you're in the Rolls-Royce world, you've heard of the AX201
Yes.
Rolls-Royce Ghost.
Yeah.
Well, in those days, in the early 60s, it was based at Hythe Road, but it was always a nuisance. It was always in the way.
Right.
So the charge engine's like, oh, can you move that somewhere else? Get rid of it somewhere else. You know? So we'd be moving it and driving it and pushing it around and used to dump it in somebody else's section.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you find it back again. We don't want it. Back again.
Oh,
it was always in the way.
No.
And then one day, they had a lift bring the cars up to the floors. This car, this guy had lost control, but he come launching out the lift, run into the back of this AX201 and pushed it into another car. So there's 3 cars damaged.
Oh dear.
And think of that now, when we all know AX201. We thought, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
AX201.
Yeah.
But in those days, it was just a nuisance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having said that, there was, it was still a historic car of its
Right.
day. And in reception, they actually had on the wall in reception a blank cheque,
Oh, okay.
allegedly it would be filled in for £1 million that one of
Right.
the customers was prepared to pay for
Right.
it
That-
in those days.
Right. And that's back then.
Yes.
Right. That's a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. So there's lots of things like that. Perhaps another time we can go into some more things.
Yeah.
But I've got to try and think of things that aren't too.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah. But what I just say, I was in the actual workshop that I worked in, like all the other workshops, there was fluorescent lights all the way along the workshop.
Yep.
Loads, double fluorescent lights, big.
Okay.
But it's quite high workshops, and being an apprentice and a bit silly, I had a fan belt on every light down the workshop,
Right. Okay.
hanging over every light, and I thought it was great. But I was in big trouble.
Was you? Oh dear.
I had to be represented by the union.
Oh really?
In
You got
the
that bad?
office. Yeah. Which I thought was funny, but apparently wasn't. Behaviour becoming.
So, because you left Rolls-Royce at about 23, didn't you?
Yes.
And where did you
23.
progress on to after that, then, Chris?
Well, at the time, Andrew Wood was an apprentice
Right.
there at the same time I was.
Yeah.
And we didn't end up in many of the same sections at the same time, but we knew each other and we both liked to do a good job, really.
Yeah.
I think that's what maybe we had in common. And Andrew Wood left to start up his own business with his brother Paul.
Yeah. Right.
When they were 21.
Right.
And I still kept in touch, and I used to go down there and sort of work with them at weekends and
Right.
things.
Okay.
But eventually I left Rolls-Royce to go and work for them.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for
So
telling
that's
us.
another story.
That's for another time. Well, thank you very much, Chris.